Hello everybody and welcome to my latest video. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on Heartless. Now, this book was primarily a cover buy for me when I bought it last year. And the reason it was primarily a cover buy was because, first of all, this is the dust jacket. Second of all, it was a signed copy. I got it on Black Friday at Barnes & Noble. And then I recently discovered when I started reading it that this is the hardcover. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. So yeah, primarily a cover buy. Also, I hadn't read her Lunar Chronicles series yet when I bought this book, so I just kind of bought it because it sounded fun. It's an origin story of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, and, you know, it's a signed copy. How could I go wrong, right? So I bought it. Took me, 9 months to read it. It's fine. But overall, I was disappointed. I had heard a lot of hype about this book from BookTube, and I've got a cousin who's really excited to read it. So I expected it to be just on par with her Lunar Chronicles and just fantastic. But as it turns out, it's really not. Not for me, anyway. I know a lot of people love this book, so I'm sorry. The writing was quick and easy to follow. The organization was overall pretty good. So, I mean, that was good, and I loved how she took different authors from sort of Lewis Carroll's time and before and used them in here. She had Edgar Allan Poe in there as the inspiration for the raven the Jess carries around. He was always saying nevermore and talking in rhyme. And then she had a couple of Shakespeare's plays that were a little bit tweaked in the title, like Taming of the Stew, which I thought was very entertaining. So, like I said, those parts were really good, and as far as predictability goes, which was my biggest complaint, I wasn't upset that it was predictable in that she was going to be the Queen of Hearts, because it's an origin story of the Queen of Hearts. Obviously she's going to be Queen of Hearts. That was fine. But there were just a couple other parts that I'll get to in a minute that I didn't really enjoy, and I don't think they should have been used quite that way. So this book got a 3 out of 5 stars for me, and that is all I will say as far as spoiler-free review of this book. At this point, if you have not read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, please stop watching because I'm about to spoil the book for you. If you don't mind being spoiled, or if you have read the book, you can continue watching. There are just 2 points that I want to make because they are kind of my biggest. That said, the first one isn't so much a pet peeve as it is just too similar to Harry Potter. This is in the Alice in Wonderland fandom, and in my head, Alice in Wonderland and Harry Potter do not mix. So when when Kath pulled the Vorpal sword out of Jess's hat to kill the Jabberwock, it felt very reminiscent of Harry pulling the sword of Gryffindor out of the Sorting Hat in Chamber of Secrets. I loved that scene in Harry Potter, and I thought the scene was fun in here. It fit well. I thought it was too similar, if that makes sense, because I had sort of parallel scenes playing out in my head. You know, Kath, her name is Kath. Kath pulling the sword out of Jess's hat versus Harry pulling the sword of Gryffindor out to kill a snake. And I recognize that they are both for similar purposes. They have to kill this giant beast who's trying to kill, them. It was just very similar to me, so not necessarily a bad thing, but not my favorite thing about the book. My least favorite thing about the book, though, is the motivation for Kath becoming Queen of Hearts. Throughout the entire book, she puts the king off and puts the king off and puts the king off because it's either her bakery with her maid or her love for Jest, and they have found some other way to do it. And then all of a sudden, oh well, yeah, I'll marry the king because I have to save Jest's kingdom. Like, first of all, nobody in their right mind is going to do that. Second of all, lost love because that love has died is so overused, it is painful to me. Very, very rarely these days do I find a book that has actually used that correctly. And this book just didn't. It did not use it correctly. It just killed him off and then said, oh, well, that's why she's marrying the king, because there is no other option anymore, because they couldn't thwart a prophecy. That's another thing. Prophecies are really starting to get to me. Riddles don't bother me so much, but prophecies bother me. And so just the fact that Jess had to die and that was her sole motivation. Like, she went back for her maid and basically caused the entire screw up because of her insistence on rescuing this woman who she had thought betrayed her in the first place. If you're truly a traitor, your ex-best friend is not going to go back for you. So realistically, she shouldn't have gone back for Marianne, and that would have solved all the problems, but no, she had to go back for this woman who she thought betrayed her. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. And then Jess dies, and she goes completely cold for something that is her own fault. Which, as you can tell by the vehemence in my voice, really, really irked me. So that was probably my biggest complaint about this book, was just that this trope is so overused, and it's not worth it. It's not any good anymore. It might have been, 200 years ago when it was first written, but it's not anymore. So I wish she had just excluded that, found something different, something unexpected to motivate Kath to marry the king and give up her heart, as opposed to she wanted to get vengeance on the person who had killed her soulmate, I guess. And it was just very disappointing to me. I know I sound like a broken record. I don't know how else to say that. It was just disappointing. So that is all I have about Heartless by Marissa Meyer. Like I said, 3 out of 5 stars. Not a horrible book, just not my favorite by any means. But if you enjoy Alice in Wonderland retellings and you don't mind all of that, there's a chance you'll enjoy this book. So that's all. I will see you guys later. Bye.